Hi, I'm Sam. Welcome to my channel. This is a channel to discuss big questions, deep questions, things that have really helped me in the past, things that have been going around my mind that I feel like it's time to share. Sometimes it's not easy to share things when you're in it, but now I feel like the time is now to start having real conversations, hopefully building a bit of a community of like-minded people that possibly feel similar to me, that you're trying to work things out, you're trying to make sense of life, and it would be nice if we could do that together. So today I wanted to talk about why I kind of left mainstream religion, or not left, but it never really resonated with me, and how I've kind of made sense of that over the last few years especially. So I was brought up Church of England, and we went to Sunday school every week. I was part of the Girl Guides, I was in a marching band. We were really kind of active in the church. My dad wasn't interested. When we used to go to church, he used to stay at home and cook roast dinner. Remember that? He wasn't religious at all. But when I was starting to get older, of course you go to Sunday school and youth group and all of these things, you just believe what everyone tells you. The adults are there, that you trust them, you believe what they're saying, even if part of you doesn't really resonate with you, or some of it feels a little bit scary or a bit icky. As I got older, I used to really dread going to church. I found it boring. Church of England is, or the one I went to, was very Catholic in its structure. So we would have incense, we'd have the vicar in the full robes. He would kind of chant a lot of the he would chant the Lord's Prayer. There was a lot of singing, kind of chant. It was more chanting. It was very, very old school religious, not modern in any way, shape or form. But funnily enough, nowadays, when I go into an old church, I feel comfortable. I like it. I feel a sense of belonging and probably remembering. So there are parts of it that I love. I love history. I love old buildings. I love learning about the break with the Catholic Church with Henry VIII and all of those things. So there's parts of it that I really love. But I remember feeling it was just really boring. You'd kind of say the same things over again. I was quite a fidgety child. My mum used to say, you've got ants in your pants. I've not been diagnosed, but I'm pretty sure that I've got ADHD. It seems to tick all the boxes. All the quizzes I do online get like 98% or something. So it does resonate with me quite a lot. Don't really see the point of having a diagnosis now, because it's not really going to help like the school system or anything like that. I think for younger children it would be really helpful, but for me, I think I'm finding my own ways of coping. I've gone off on a tangent. This is what I do. I think in spirals, not sound bites. So I remember being bored with it. I remember trying to pretend to be asleep for longer on a Sunday so I didn't have to go. And I remember just thinking, because in our church we had a crucifix with Jesus Christ on it. I'm pretty sure he was suffering or had died. It was I remember just sitting in church and looking up at it. It was made of wood. It was beautifully carved, and just thinking, that's just so sad. That's just awful. And reading the Bible and doing stories and things, a lot of them have really fantastic morals. They're very similar to things like Aesop's fables. I used to love that as a kid. Very moral, very good stories, all about love, helping thy neighbour, just good moral stories that you can teach your kids. And it was fine on the surface, but underneath it didn't feel good. I think it felt slightly jarring that, especially in the Old Testament with the kind of creation story, that this God that was all-knowing, all-powerful, was so judgmental, really scary. If you didn't follow certain rules, you would go to hell when you died, and that would be for all eternity, which we just can't comprehend what that would be. So it was just based on fear. It was just fear and shame, judgment, all of these things just didn't feel right to me. The fact that as a child you're born in sin, especially since having children, I just can't believe that that's true. I can't imagine that that's true. That this all-knowing, all-powerful God would be like the judgmental parent. Maybe we can resonate with that sometimes. I'm not against religion. I think there are so many good aspects of it. It's fantastic community. If you feel secure in it, if it makes you feel safe and loved, great. If it brings you peace, if you have lost people and the thought of if they went to church they would go to heaven, and that brings you peace, then fantastic. There's a lot of good aspects to religion that I still hold dear, but it was just a side of it that I didn't resonate with. So I struggled with that, and when I was able to make a decision for myself, I didn't go to church. I kind of went every now and again. I liked the familiarness of it. I liked the hymns, I liked the singing, I liked Christingle and Christmas, but we never went to midnight mass or anything. That it was kind of frowned upon if you didn't do it. And then when I was 17, my stepdad died suddenly. He was only 48. He just died of a heart attack. He fell over. That was it. And that was a huge shock for me. And I remember saying to somebody that I knew really well, and they were a Christian man. I knew him very well, trusted his opinion. And when I was kind of going through the grieving process, and I asked him if my stepdad had gone to heaven even though he didn't go to church, he looked me in the eye and said no. And that just broke my heart. I remember running. We were at some party or something. I couldn't bear it. It just felt so heavy and so awful that someone that I loved and someone that was good didn't get a place in heaven just because he didn't go to church every day or every Sunday or whatever. It didn't feel, there's nothing comforting about that. If religion is there to comfort you, but only if you follow a certain structure and follow the certain rules, based on fear, based on if you don't behave a certain way then you're going to burn in hell forever, it just did not feel okay. For me, I knew that he was in a good place. He was a good person, and I didn't really understand what I thought or what I believed, but to me it was heaven. And my idea was, have you seen the movie Ghost? It's an old movie with Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore. That felt comfortable to me. So Sam, they didn't talk about church, there was no religious aspect at all, but when he died he stayed around until he got something sorted for his girlfriend and got the people that were responsible for his death, and then the murderers got taken away by these dark shadowed spirits. And that's what I thought at the time. That felt comforting because I knew my stepdad was a good person. Since then I've looked a lot more into it, and I have been listened to it quite a long time ago, a couple of years ago now, Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. Don't know if you've heard of it, let me know if you have. And basically what happened to him, I think I started with A Course in Miracles, found that really tough going, liked the idea of it, kept hearing it popping up, and so I followed that path. Read a book that helped explain it, kind of put it in simpler terms, that really helped, and then started reading Conversations with God, or listening to it, Audible, which I love because it alternates between a man and a woman's voice for God, which I just love. Not this bearded white male on a cloud, that didn't feel right either. So it talks about how Neil Donald Walsh was having a difficult time in life. Nothing was going right. And he was up in the middle of the night one day and just decided to vent on a piece of paper. He wrote down all of the things, when is my life going to take off? When are things going to start working out? Wrote a really angry letter to himself or to God or whatever it was. And then when he'd stopped writing, when he was his hand was aching from writing, something held his hand there and he heard a voice. He calls it a voiceless voice. I suppose it's inside his head, saying, do you really want answers to these questions, or are you just venting? And then from that moment on, he started taking dictation of what was being channeled through him, the voice of God. And it talks about a very, very different God to the God that I grew up learning about. No judgment, no fear, no such thing as hell, which makes sense to me now. Hell can be what we make it on earth. There are so many different aspects to this book that part of me wonders if I'm just being easily led. I am a little bit like that. I don't like to be controversial. I don't like to kind of argue. So you generally, if I didn't agree with someone, I probably would just keep quiet. And in my mind, I didn't feel like I needed to try and change their mind, or even stand up to them, or I'd even be swayed by them. So a lot of the things in this book really resonate with me. Not all of it, but a lot of it. So I have trust in myself and my inner knowing that it's not that I'm learning it parrot fashion from someone else, and not that Neil Donald Walsh has got it completely right. It's going to be through his lens anyway, so it's not going to be completely pure and completely unbiased. It's going to be from his point of view, through his life experiences, through his lens. But a lot of what he was saying, I've heard lots of times through Eckhart Tolle and lots of different. I studied Buddhism for a while, and that was fascinating. I've looked into different religions. I've looked into lots of different spiritualities. I attend a circle once a month, and we call it Witch Club. And it really resonated. I felt like I'd heard this before, and I'd heard it in so many different places, all about being in the present, mindfulness, not calling it that, talking about the concept of time and how it's just a construct, talking about death, talking about souls, talking about dreaming, talking about money, sex, the 10 Commandments. Apparently there's no such thing as the 10 Commandments. There's not a judgmental God. No shame, no guilt. It's just a fascinating read. I might go more into the different subjects in different videos, but I just wanted to hop on and say about where my journey's taken me. I'm not against religion. Like, I haven't gone so far that I am really turned off by it. I can honour people's feelings and beliefs because I understand it and I understand where they're coming from. But there are parts of it that just don't resonate with me, and I think that's what's truly important about anything that you read, anything that you follow. What I didn't like, or what doesn't fit about religion for me, is the dogma. It's if you don't do it this way, then you're wrong. We're right. We're the one true church. I remember someone telling me again that Church of England wasn't real. It was made up by Henry VIII, and their faith was the true faith. And I just think anyone that puts anyone above somebody else or says that you're wrong for believing something, that can't be good. That can't be a good thing. And isn't all religion made up? It's somebody's. That's the other thing it addresses in Conversations with God. A lot of the scriptures from the Bible were written hundreds of years after Jesus Christ walked the earth, passed down from generation to generation to generation, stories written by a certain lens. Some scriptures were ripped out. Mary Magdalene, for example, it's all male, it's all patriarchy. It's a collection of stories, told through a certain lens. So in that way, you know, most religions made up. Do I believe Jesus Christ walked the earth? Definitely. Do I believe that he was a great teacher and leader? Definitely. Do I believe that he was the Son of God? Yes. I've got a really interesting idea of what God is. I think I'll finish with that because I'm rambling a little bit now. So what do I think when I think of God? I do find that word a little bit jarring because it takes me straight back to a man with a beard on a cloud that's really judgy and patriarchal and thinks men are better than women, and right and wrong, hell and heaven, the Ten Commandments, he gets to choose. So God, I'm getting more comfortable with the word because for me, that image is starting to fade. But it's conditioning, isn't it? It's still there, it's deep, it runs deep. But God to me now, I've got a Buddha statue over there. I study the craft as well, witchcraft and spells and rituals. I'm an artist. I incorporate lots of different things. I love crystals and oracle cards and smoke cleansing and ritual and manifesting, spell work. It just, I love all of that. Glastonbury is one of my favourite places. I feel very at home there. So to me, it's God and Goddess. I like saying, oh my Goddess, oh my goodness, oh my Goddess. I don't generally say, oh my God anymore. I think of God is the sky, is the flowers, is the breeze, is everything. It's everything to me. It's the feeling of peace. It's nature, it's Mother Nature, it's Earth, it's the planets, it's... See, when someone says, this is it, I have the answer, nobody does. Nobody knows for sure. So if you really think about that we're tiny little things on a floating rock in the middle of nothing, in a universe that's expanding, what's after that? I mean, none of it makes sense. If you try and comprehend the planetary systems and the moon and it's just hard to get your head around. So I think as human beings, we love certainty. So if anyone can give us a path to follow, then we like to follow that because it feels more certain. We don't like uncertainty. We like to know what's going on. And I think that's probably where religion has come from, because it gives you a set of rules to follow, and that feels comfortable for a lot of people, and I completely understand why. But I'm starting to embrace the uncertainty, and there's beauty in that. There is beauty in that. It's frightening, but I'm learning to embrace the shadow as well as the light. So I think I'm going to leave it there because I could ramble forever. I would really love to hear your take on it. And there's a space for all of it. There's no right or wrong. I just take what lands, leave what doesn't, and just trust your inner knowing. And yeah, sending lots of love. I look forward to seeing you next time on the next topic. Love to hear your comments, and I'll see you really soon. Bye for now.